Donald Trump's made a surprise appearance at the UN Climate Summit in New York, but Scott Morrison's no-show has attracted attacks from Labor. It's not the only criticism of Mr Morrison's US trip from the opposition, with Anthony Albanese expressing concern about the Prime Minister's China commentary. More from political reporter Laura Jays in New York.
Scott Morrison in Chicago.
Did you fly on that, Prime Minister?
Yeah, very similar. Fantastic stuff.
Responding to critics questioning why he wasn't in New York for the UN Climate Action Summit.
New York, there's a lot of people there this week.
Including President Trump, who made a surprise visit.
I'm a big believer in clean air and clean water, and all countries should get together and do that.
196 countries did get together to sign the Paris Climate Change Agreement in 2016. Trump withdrew the United States from cooperation the next year.
If you look at the projections on emissions out to 2030, what you'll see is Australia meeting its commitments. You'll see the United States, who aren't even a signatory to the Paris Agreement. Their emissions are heading in the same direction. They're flatlining.
I do find it disappointing that our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is in New York, where this conference is taking place, but hasn't yet visited. And I'd say to him, it's not too late to change your schedule, to make sure as a priority that you send a message that climate change is a priority.
The Prime Minister won't be shifting policy on emissions, instead pushing New South Wales and Victoria on gas exploration and practical solutions to waste.
I'll be focusing very much on Australia's response to the global environmental challenges, which isn't just climate change. As I said today, it's about plastics, it's about oceans, it's about recycling.
Scott Morrison has called on global trading rules to be adjusted, arguing that China should be stripped of its developing nation status. China is now the world's second largest economy and largest trading nation, and he argues that with that comes greater obligations.
We cannot pretend that rules that were written a generation ago remain appropriate for today.
With that status comes concessions and an economic advantage the Prime Minister argues distorts the playing field.
For him to give a speech in the United States that changes the characterisation of the entire Chinese economy from Chicago. Does he think that will be well received and will reduce tension between China and the United States over trade? When he leaves our shores, he does not leave our national interest behind. He needs to take that with him overseas, and he needs to explain why it is that those comments are in Australia's national interest.
It's clear that global trade rules are no longer fit for purpose, and in some cases the rules were designed for a completely different economy in another era, one that simply doesn't exist anymore.
Laura Jays, Sky News, New York.